Well, good morning, Facebook family and friends. This is Curtis, host of Practical Finances. I want to thank you all so much this morning for joining me for this, for the actual sixth episode of Practical Finances. This is the actual end of the summer session, and I'm really excited to share this information. Now, today, we're going to be talking specifically about identity theft and fraud. So this is some really valuable information. Identity theft is an important piece of the financial puzzle in terms of protecting the assets that you create, protecting your monies, and making sure that you can continue to accumulate and build your legacy. So I tell you what, let's go ahead and get started. Let me share my screen. If you give me 2 seconds here, I'll get this all shared with you. All righty here. All righty. Fantastic. So again, identity theft and fraud. All right. So what I'm going to do here is this. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about identity theft, what it is, how to identify it, ways that you can be frauded. Also, I'm going to show you ways that you can protect yourself also moving forward. All right, let me give you some statistics here. It's very interesting. This is from the FTC. 2019 notes a record high identity fraud losses, about $16.9 billion in losses. There were 1,473 data breaches that occurred in 2019, exposing nearly 165 records there. All righty. The FTC stats report on 2.7 million identity theft complaints in 2017. Now, 60 million Americans were affected by identity theft just 2 years ago in 2018, and 1 in 15 people become victims, unfortunately, of identity fraud. Last two stats here, 31.7% of breach victims experience identity theft, stats indicate, and then by 2022, it is expected that shopping fraud will cost consumers over $20 billion per year. That's 20 billion with a B per year. So what is identity theft? What is the definition of it? According to the Department of Justice, identity theft includes crimes in which someone wrongfully obtains and uses other person's personal data in some way that involves fraud, deception, and typically for economic gain. That is a baseline definition of what identity theft is. So what do we mean by identity? Okay, so there are documents that we have that identify us that unfortunately can be stolen. For instance, those items are driver's license, your state ID, social security card, your passport are some examples of some items that identify you. Okay. Now, thieves can use those particular items, but there are other ways that they can actually impersonate someone else. They can steal your social security number. Typically, when there's a data breach that you hear on the news, for instance, those particular thieves are going for social security numbers. Your name, obviously, your address, your date of birth, for instance, are examples of information that thieves can steal in order to impersonate you. Now, how can you be harmed? Now, there are several different types of identity theft that we're about to go over now. Excuse me. All right. Identity cloning. That's when impersonating someone in real life. Okay. Then there's criminal identity theft. And that's identifying oneself as another person to police while being arrested. You claim you're someone else as you're being arrested. Then there's synthetic identity theft. That's creating a fake identity with someone else's social security number. The next one is medical identity theft, using someone else's identity to get medical treatment or benefits. The next one is child identity theft, using a child's identity for personal gain. And the last one is, of course, financial identity theft, and that's the most common. Now, these thieves are looking for a financial gain. They may use a stolen identity to get credit cards, loans, or just buy things. They may even open up new accounts in your name, making it harder for them to catch you. All righty, now, what are ways that criminals can actually steal your identity or your information? Let's go through a couple of these. The first one is phishing. Now, phishing with a P, PH, that's to trick you into giving personal information, often through email. I'm sure we all at one point or another have received something in the email. Let me give you an example. I received something the last couple of weeks at work, actually. It was from Microsoft Security. And in that email, it said, Curtis had my name, and it said, we need to verify your security information. Click on this link right here so we can update your info. And immediately I knew, nope, that is phishing. And that's exactly what that email turned out to be. I actually forwarded that email to my security department, and they did confirm that it was a phishing email. And what they're trying to do is, if I clicked on that link, then what would happen is they would have installed what is called malware software on the computer, allowing that thief to gain access to the computer system. So that's what they do on a business level, and that's what they also do to you on a personal level. Now, the next one is a form of another form or variation of phishing is called vishing with a V. That's when someone calls you on the phone and says, we are calling you from whatever company it is, and we need for you to verify some information. Can you give me your name, your date of birth, and your social so we can make sure that our records are updated in our system? You don't give any information. If someone's calling you legitimately from a company and they're wanting to verify information, they will tell you what they have. The last one is smishing with SM, and that's phishing by text messages. And that's basically doing the exact same things from phishing and vishing, except through text message. Click on this link right here so we can update our information or something of that nature. So those things you got to be very cognizant of and very aware of. Now, the next kind of, I guess, scam here is called spear phishing. Now, spear phishing is electronic or email or electronic communication scam targeted toward a specific individual, organization, or business. Now, that's used to steal money or to install malware, like I mentioned ago, on a targeted computer. So when they actually identify you, whatever your name is, we need for you to update information on our system. They are targeting you specifically. The next one is farming with a PH, and those are fake websites. So I'm an Amazon Prime member. I ordered something from Amazon. It's about a year ago, and I received an email stating something to the effect of, we need to make sure that the information in our system is accurate so that we can get the information or the order that you just placed to you in a timely manner. And I was like, okay. And I said, nope, that does not sound right. And then when I read deeper in the email and I saw the web address for that particular email, it was not Amazon.com. It was something completely different. So you have to be very aware. These thieves are becoming smarter, and they word things in a way that will trick you. The next one is called skimming. Now, I manage a bank. That's what I do. One of my jobs every day is to inspect my office. And one of the things I have to do when I inspect my office is I have to go to our ATM machine and I have to check the ATM for a skimming device. And what that is that is a physical piece of material that's an overlay that you put over the spot where you put your ATM card. And what happens is if there's an overlay on that machine and you put your card in, that overlay will capture your information. It will still go into the ATM machine. You can still get your money, but your information is captured on that skimming device. Another area, another place where you have to be real careful is when you get gas at a gas station outside, when you don't go in, but you get it out at the pump. A lot of thieves put skimming devices on those machines also to capture your information. So you have to be very, very careful. And then lastly is this social media scamming. Basically, they can reach you with some of these same techniques through your social media also, trying to reach you where you are. All right, so warning signs of identity theft. All right, if you've made withdrawals that you didn't make. All right, if you're looking at your bank statement, there's some withdrawals that you don't remember, that's a sign. Second one, if you have missing bills or statements, which basically means that your information may have been compromised and they may have even changed the mailing address on your bills. Merchants refusing your checks. If you go there and you write a check to a particular merchant, they say, "I'm sorry, we can't accept that." That's a possible sign. And then credit card transactions not going through. There's some more here for us. There's some more signs of identity theft. Letters about accounts you didn't open. Emails about purchases you didn't make. Statements for credit cards you didn't have. Debt collectors calling about debts that aren't yours. And passwords or usernames not working, which basically means that they've gone in and changed that information so they can have access to it. So you got to be really careful when you protect that information. And some additional warnings are unfamiliar accounts on your credit report, medical bills for services you didn't receive, health records for conditions you don't have, multiple tax returns or inaccurate tax records, or notifications about a data breach. So these are all warning signs or all things you need to look for that will let you know that you may have been a victim of identity theft. All right, so we've talked about what identity theft is. We've talked about some of the scams that are out there. We talked about some things to look for. Now let's talk specifically now about steps to minimize identity theft. All right. You need to guard your information. That means be very protective of it. Don't leave it out everywhere. Keep it in a centralized location. All right. Don't respond to unsolicited requests. So again, emails, text messages, things of that nature. Just don't respond to those unsolicited requests. If you didn't ask for information, don't respond to it. Protect your mail. So when you get paper mail, when you mail through your mailbox and you get a credit card application or something like that, and it's something that you don't want, just don't throw it to the side. Process it immediately. Take that mail, tear it up or shred it if you still have a shredder, and so that no one can piece it together and try to use that information. Sign up for direct deposit. That is so crucial. I talked about direct deposit during week 1 or 2, but for convenience sake, but direct deposit is also very important for security and safety. So instead of you receiving a check in the mail, which can be stolen or just compromised, then you can actually have your checks deposited directly electronically into your bank account. All right. Clean up your financial trash. Do not leave sensitive information laying around, like your tax returns with your social security number on it. Any information, any credit card information with sensitive account numbers or banking information with account numbers. Don't leave that laying around. Make sure it's all clean and organized, whether at work or at home, because some of us actually do our bills and stuff at work. So do not leave that information out where it can be viewed and compromised. And also review your financial accounts regularly and carefully. Check your bank statements, go through, make sure that everything is in order. Now, personally, I do not review my financial accounts every month that they come through. The reason why, let me make sure I'm clear on this. The reason why is because I actually have a mobile app, and every single morning that I wake up, one of the first things that I do is check my account balances. I check the transactions to make sure that the information is accurate, to make sure that I understand what it is, understand that I recognize all the information, all the transactions that have come through. And if there's anything that I don't recognize, I immediately jump on it and make sure that I get it corrected or reversed is what happens. So be sure to do that. Okay, so some more steps to minimize identity theft. Be aware that there's identity theft on the internet. And that's what we're doing today. I'm making you all aware that there is identity theft out there and the methods in which thieves are looking to try to access your information. All right, protect your devices. You can download like two of the main, I guess, malware or protection softwares out there will be your Nortons or your McAfee's. All right, so you can download on that computer, and that could be a safeguard against people trying to hack into your computer, for instance. Now, you will remember this one because we've talked about this over the past 2 weeks. Review your credit reports at least once every 12 months at www.annualcreditreport.com. Again, extremely important to review your credit report so you know exactly how your activity is looking. But as a security measure, you need to review your credit report at least once a month, if not more often, to make sure that all of the accounts on the credit report are yours, are accounts that you applied for, are accounts that you're familiar with. If you and that's why it's important to check your credit. The next one is keep your important documents secure. So if you have a safe at your house, if you have a file cabinet with a lock on it, even if you like to store things digitally, I store my items in a encrypted digital folder that I can access through the cloud, so to speak, in order to keep my documents secure. Two more kind of different kind of scams out there, but be aware of disaster-related scams. You may not have heard, but there are situations where when a disaster happens, like we had a major tornado in the Tennessee area back in March, for instance, or with COVID-19 going on right now, there are some companies or people who would try to take advantage of you. For instance, if you have damage to your house, I will come to your house and fix it, no questions asked. Be sure to do your research to make sure that that individual is credible, for instance. So you got to be aware of those disaster-related scams, and also try to read scam alerts. I mean, on the internet and the newspaper, there are scam alerts out there. One of the scam alerts that I actually use is kind of informal, but this is, I believe most neighborhoods have this. It's an organization called Nextdoor. It's kind of like a local neighborhood Facebook. And what I found is if I keep up with that, people on those particular sites will update you if they're like scammers walking around the neighborhood, or if there's some fraudulent activity that's happened. You can actually learn a lot just through your neighbors using nextdoor.com. Just sign up for it. It's free, and you can get some really good information. So anyway, those are some good ways to minimize your identity theft here. Now, those are all ways that you can minimize your or protect yourself for things that you can do yourself to protect yourself. Now, if you want that extra layer of protection and you want to subscribe to a service that can protect you, then identity protection services are the way to go. Now, again, they are a subscription, which means you will pay a monthly fee, but it may give you the peace of mind that you're looking for. Now, I'm going to quickly give you some pros and cons of identity protection service. Some of the pros: number one, they perform ongoing monitoring of improper usage of your identity. Okay. Number two, that protection services reimburse you in situations involving monetary loss due to identity theft. Now, reimbursement can cover thousands of dollars in losses all the way up to 1 million or even more. Okay. And also the third one is in case of identity theft, these services will quickly assign a fraud resolution specialist, a point person, who will work towards repairing any damage due to identity theft. So that right there may be worth a monthly subscription just for peace of mind, as I mentioned before. Now, some of the cons of identity protection services are identity theft protection services often cannot track many forms of identity theft, such as if a person applies for a job under your name or uses your information to obtain a cell phone. Number two, these services often fail to protect you from the initial identity theft, and it can only take action after your identity has been stolen. All right. And the third is some contracts contain confusing language, and reimbursement may not cover certain financial losses. So you have to be real careful, and when you do your research, to make sure that that particular service is providing the needs that you have. Now, what I have next is here. These are the, according to different services out there, including Consumer Reports. These are the top 5 identity theft protection services that are out there. Identity Guard's number 1, Identity Defense is number 2, MyFICO is number 3, LifeLock is number 4, and Experian is number 5. I also put some of the prices that they had on their particular websites to kind of give you an idea of what the cost will be. So anywhere from $10 to $30 per month is what these particular services cost. Now, you will have to do your own research to make sure that the information that the services or the services they do provide cover or satisfy your particular needs and your particular situation. Okay. All righty. And there are 2 governmental sources out there that you can utilize in order to assist you. Number 1, you generally have limited liability for fraudulent debts and accounts caused by identity theft. So you can go into identitytheft.gov to get even more information on identity theft, and also to find out what your liabilities are or what your liabilities aren't when it comes to identity theft. And the last one is when there is a security breach and you've been notified that there's a security breach, then you can go to usa.gov to learn about your rights when it comes to a data breach. It's really good information. Again, identitytheft.gov and usa.gov. All right. Okay, so that was short, but it was a lot of information right there for you. Now I will say this. All right, if you want information or you want a copy of this slide, because there's a lot of good information on there, please email me, as you can see, at curtis@practical_finances.com, or you can follow me on social media on Facebook at facebook.com/practical_finances. Instagram is at practical_finances, or YouTube, which is YouTube/practical finances. So we have, as you can see, we've come to the end of episode 6, and we're at the end of actually the summer series. Now, I want to thank you for taking a few minutes out of your busy Saturday over this last 6 or 7 weeks to learn a little bit more about your finances. All righty. Now, as Candace said earlier, my producer said earlier, there's some exciting news coming up. Now we'll be back starting Saturday, September 26th at 10 a.m. All right. Now we're going to change things up a little bit when we come back for the fall series. Now, instead of the classroom lecture PowerPoint presentation that we've gone through the last 6 weeks, we're actually going to have a series of interviews. Okay. Now, these interviews are going to cover topics such as mortgages, insurance, real estate, investments, small business is what we're going to be covering. Now, the conversations are going to be engaging and fun and extremely informative. So I'm so excited to share this information with you. All righty. Again, thank you so much for making this experience for me to be very wonderful. Loved it. And I look forward to seeing everybody in a few weeks. All right. Until then, you all be blessed. Have a great day.